What's up guys, my name's Liam, and in today's video we're going to be taking a look at the brand new Drunkdeer A75 Ultra, not to be confused with the previous A75 Ultra that I've already reviewed on my channel. This is the newer 6th generation version, and I must say that this does offer a completely unique experience from any other keyboard that I have used out there in the past. They do have this new like spring dampening design that's supposed to give you a softer typing experience, and when I was reading on it I didn't know whether to think whether this is gimmicky or not. So now that I've actually got my hands on it, I'm gonna be able to let you guys know how my experience has been with it so far, and hopefully I'll be able to help you decide whether or not this could possibly be the perfect keyboard for you. So let's check it out. And before we get started today, I did want to let you know this was sent out to me. However, everything you're going to be hearing in this video is going to be my own words and my own opinions. It does look like their motto is "Be drunk, be ace." And I do want to let you know that I am not drunk as I am creating this review for you today. But included inside the box, it does have some documentation here. They also do provide you with some stickers. And then the rest of the stuff that is included in this foam insert, you do have a USB-C to USB Type A cable, a switch, and a keycap puller. This also does come with 2 additional switches, some extra keycaps as well, and this also does come with some additional feet for the bottom of the keyboard that does raise it up a little bit higher towards the front. And here we got a look of the keyboard itself. It does have this almost fighter jet looking appearance to it, but it still offers somewhat of a little bit of a minimalistic appearance. You do have a knob up here that does feel like it is an all aluminum knob. So I would say that just the overall feeling of this keyboard just in general, once you do pick it up, it actually is very heavy and has a lot of weight. The corners on it are pretty soft. And the build of this, the top piece of this, it does feel like it is some type of aluminum. And then right underneath that, this bottom piece of the front tray does feel to be plastic. So it almost is kind of like this hybrid of aluminum pieces and plastic pieces. It does kind of flare out, and this bottom base does feel a little bit more wide. So even though this does have this spring system, which we're going to talk about here, you can see how there is some flex there. It doesn't feel like it's too loose or it moves around on you too much. It actually feels solid and planted as you're using it, so not sliding around on me or anything like that. USB-C connectivity over here on the left side. So here's what the layout looks like over here on the rear. Pretty cool stuff. It does have these pretty big rubberized feet down here in the bottom right side and up here in the top corners as well. These feet down here in the bottom, they are stuck to the board with adhesive, so you're not able to remove these. These feet up here in the corners, however, you can pull them out. And as I showed you in the unboxing, there's actually thicker ones as well if you actually wish to raise up the front of the keyboard itself. You do have this little switch down here in the back, and if you were to push it all the way down, then it does make it more springy, so there is more give to it and a little bit looser. If you were to push it up in the position like that, it still is springy and gives you some give, but it does make it just a little bit more stiff. But then the rest of the design on this, like I said, it does have these kind of slanted edges up here in the front, so pretty comfortable to use. But I would say that just my overall first initial impressions with this when I got it out of the box just does kind of give you a softer experience, and you definitely do notice it the entire time you're using it, whether you're just typing on it or even as you're using it in game. Here's a look of the keycaps that do come included, and the lettering is printed on the top. The switches that do come included inside this keyboard, it looks like they did co-develop them with Raisha, and based what is said here on their own website, it does look like they did make these to compete against the TTC POM switches. And I will say that I have had a really positive experience with these switches so far. The entire time that I've been using them and testing them out, no matter where I press them from, they actually do have a really smooth actuation. They do feel pretty lightweight, and they have a pretty quick rebound. They have an initial operating force of around 35 GF and a total travel distance of 4 millimeters. And as I've been using them, if you just barely rest your finger on top of the keycap itself, there's a little bit of movement there, but once you actually do press in the switch and actuate it, it does have a pretty solid feeling and not a whole lot of stem wobble there. And as far as the rest of the board goes, the stabilizers that do come in here, they are pre-lubed. There is a very light amount of lube that is done here though. And they also do include 2 pretty thick pieces of silicone right under here for the space bar. This case was not meant to be opened up, so do keep that in mind. If you do open this up, you are going to risk voiding any type of warranty that you do have. But if you are interested in doing it, this case is actually held together by clips. So what you'll need to do is you'll need to dig your fingers up here in the very top, and I was actually pushing down on this, and then you can kind of just pop the clips out. You also do have to remove the wheel fill that's over here in the top right hand side. But once you do that, you should be able to remove this top case. The switches do sit inside of an aluminum switch plate right between the PCB and the switch plate. They do have a pretty nice piece of foam. I'm not sure exactly what type of foam this is, but it does feel like it is some type of a Horon. Then they do have an additional piece of foam back here on the rear of the case. So once you just simply remove this out, here's what the base looks like. Now, I'm not really interested in taking this apart, to be honest with you, and there are some diagrams on their website as well. But this is where basically the internal spring system is. As you can see here, these 3 points, these are where these springs are actually located. And again, I'm sure that you can probably take this apart, but this is really just all you see from the bottom portion of the case. So no electronics down here. So let's go ahead and we will drop a really quick sound test. To access the settings for this keyboard, you can do so through their web-based driver. It's pretty much the exact same thing as the previous A75 Ultra video that I already went over. Up here in the top left-hand side is where you can set the actuation point, and they do have some settings over here as well. If you wanted to enable the rapid trigger, you can come over here. You can still use these same settings, but if you wanted to manually adjust it, you can come in here. You will need to select the keys that you wish to make adjustments to, or you can do all the keys, for example. And as you can clearly see here, toggling this on or off is how you can turn on or off the rapid trigger. For the initial actuation, you can go as low as 0.2 millimeters, and then you can make adjustments in 0.01 millimeter increments, all the way up to 3.3 millimeters. And for the rapid trigger sensitivity, as you can see, you can individually set the repress and the release. And same thing, you can actually go as low as 0.01 millimeters, but making the adjustments in 0.01 millimeter increments all the way up to 2 millimeters. Then next up, they do have this dual release trigger setting, and then also the last win setting. This is pretty much their example of the SOCD functionality. I have this set up on A&D and it's been working out pretty good. And then aside from that, you do have a turbo mode down here, which I've been leaving on to give you the lowest amount of latency possible as you're using this keyboard. And then they also do have an option here for this keystroke tracking. Over here on the color tab is where you can adjust the backlighting for your keyboard with all these various presets. And then they also do have a function here to remap your keys. All right, guys, so that about wraps things up on the A75 Ultra Gen 6. And I didn't do a latency test on this, considering the fact that I just recently tested out the A75 Ultra, their previous version of this. This is using the same internals as that one. And in case you skipped out on that video or didn't see it, the results, they're kind of going back and forth, trading blows with the Wooting. The Wooting did win 6 out of the 10 times on the press, whereas the Drunkdeer did slightly come ahead 6 out of 10 times on the release, but not a whole big difference that you're going to notice in a real world performance between both of them. But I will say that this keyboard has really taken me by surprise. I honestly really like these new switches that they put in here. I'm not sure if you noticed or not in the sound test. If you're really aggressive and you're slamming this down, you can kind of hear it almost kind of like slamming against the shell when you're actually pressing down on it. This only really happened, or I noticed it when I was testing it. The entire time that I was gaming on it or just normally typing on it, that didn't seem to be an issue. But I mean, the one thing I do kind of wish that they would have changed about this, I mean, I wouldn't say I wish for myself, but you know, if somebody doesn't really like this design, I do wish that they had a setting that just made it completely solid, so it didn't have any movement to it at all, even though I do prefer the movement and do feel like it feels pretty good. And I mean, just the build of this, it has a great weight, feels very planned on my desk the entire time that I've been using it. Again, I haven't noticed like this movement system like really impacting my gameplay to where I feel like it moves on me and, you know, I accidentally get accidental key activations or anything like that. So still really solid performing, and honestly been really great to use. And it's really cool to see that, you know, they're really trying hard to create something that's different and unique to stand apart out there, especially the fact that we just have endless amounts of, you know, these magnetic switch Hall effect gaming keyboards coming out in the market. So if you guys do have any additional questions or feel like I left anything out, please let me know down in the comments below. If you've enjoyed watching this video and are interested in seeing more videos like this in the future, please drop this video a like and subscribe to my channel. And thank you guys so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you in the next one.